Okay, under new business this evening, we have Resolution 21-2022.
Resolution 21-2022, a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into a development services agreement with Woodard Development LLC and Dillon LLC for the development of city-owned parcels of property on East Dixie Drive, Marina Drive, Bowman Lane, North Alex Road, and East Central Avenue at I-75 exit 47.
Mr. Lucking, our Economic Development Director, is here to speak to us about this.
I will paraphrase from the memo that I had written to you about the project so that we'll have a good idea, again, of what it's doing. So this would authorize the city manager to enter into a development services agreement with Woodard Real Estate, Woodard Development, and Dillon Development, the development of the various parcels that were outlined, which approximate 25 acres, primarily along the Dixie Drive corridor. Under the terms of this agreement, the developers will formulate a master development plan for a mixed-use development that includes a medical office facility, a premium flag hotel, a financial services establishment, a freestanding fast casual and fast-standing and premium restaurants, and a mix of for-sale townhouse condominiums and market rate multifamily complex. We have a dynamic team in Woodard and Dillon. I would argue, arguably, they are two of the most prominent firms in the Dayton marketplace. They have a track record of success, and we're fortunate to have them on our team. They're a high-performance, quality-focused development team that will work on behalf of the city of West Carrollton to create a unique destination location where visitors can come to dine, work, play, and live. During the next 9 months, Woodard Dillon Development Team will create a final master development plan for the city-owned properties and establish the terms and conditions for marketing, sale, and development of the properties. During this planning period, the city will work in conjunction with the developer to assess the current infrastructure and plan for new public utilities and services as needed. During the first 24 months of the development services agreement, the city will compensate the developer $120,000 payable in 4 semi-annual installments. The anticipated build-out period for the project is 7 to 10 years. Upon project completion, it is estimated that the build value of the development will total in excess of $70 million. The development area is an established tax increment finance district. The TIF funds that will be generated will be used to pay for the city's development cost. The city will actively pursue all public opportunities for grant funds to subsidize the public development cost, and the city will recoup from land sales the funds utilized to purchase and prepare the 25 acres that will be redeveloped. I may be stealing a bit of their thunder, but I do want to tell you what the potential is for this over time. So the total investment in this project is estimated to be $84.8 million, 72, which is projected to be private investment, and the balance, the $6 million, being site infrastructure and land, and we've already had the land acquisition that's been accounted for. The annual tax revenues that are expected to be generated in terms of new real estate tax when fully built out, $2.5 million, payroll tax of $319,000, income tax of $175,163, sales taxes of $478,000, and we will have a new community authority will generate about $160,000 annually. So it has a lot of positive financial impact for this community. I do want to remind City Council also that in terms of your top 10 objectives, the project that was just presented, the river development, the Whitewater facility, and this project are your two top 10 objectives for this year. So we will check those boxes. So with that, I would, first of all, I also want to recognize Joe Tuss. Joe Tuss is a development consultant working with the city through JT Development Consulting. Joe's a distinguished public servant. He's retired with over 35 years of service. And I will say he's one of the smartest economic development professionals that I know of in Montgomery County. So we have a good member on our team. And we have a fantastic development team in terms of Larry Dillon and Todd DePlane. And I believe Larry is prepared to make a presentation tonight and give you all the good information about the project.
We've had a few conversations over the past couple of years. as we thought about planning ideas for the city of West Carrollton. We've talked about more than just the I-75 Dixie Highway corridor and the waterfront. We've really talked more broadly at times about the overall community and what your goals are for the community. And as you recall, we've looked at some other parts of the community, put together some planning concepts, starting near the water tower, doing some work there, and we explored market possibilities. And what we learned out of that is that the rest of the world outside of West Carrollton looks at West Carrollton in a different way than what you do. And so part of our charge collectively, really everyone in this room, the collective charge, if we want to achieve economic diversity and growth, if we want to achieve some change in the residential characteristics of the community, the demographics, the services provided, and so on, we really have to start with how do we change the way people perceive West Carrollton? That's our basic premise for the planning concepts that we've been working on. So the plan, as we talked about it, this aerial view shows in general the planning area, starting at I-75 and going up to, I believe it's Alex Bell, and then over to the waterfront. So the planning area goes beyond the acreage that is actually owned directly by the city. Why do we think about it that way? Well, if we're gonna do something that's a sustainable development that enhances the community environment, then we really need to look beyond the borders of the site. We do this all the time. People ask us to look at a specific parcel of ground, and we say, okay, to understand what's the best answer for that parcel of ground, we need to understand the rest of the community. And then look at that fabric, try and understand what might be missing and what we could enhance, provide a plan that attempts to knit the fabric so that it's stronger, leaves the community in a stronger position than it was when we found it. So we've looked beyond the borders of the site, recognized that there are some properties that would be ripe for change when the market dynamics are right. We have to help drive those market dynamics. So the master plan that we're talking about is really focused on some of the attributes that are existing in this community today or adjacent to this community that we use as building blocks for our planning purposes. We all recognize the high volume of traffic that's on I-75. We also recognize the high volume of commuter traffic that's on Dixie Highway. Those are both opportunities to harvest. The visibility of the site directly adjacent to I-75 is an obvious opportunity. It has high visibility because the freeway is elevated a little above that site. So anything that we construct on that site is going to be highly visible. The location just south of the city of Dayton, near the first interchange south of the city of Dayton, that creates an opportunity for folks that may want to look for a hospitality solution or dining solutions that maybe aren't central city. Also living environment, first ring suburb, those are all attributes that we can build off of. With the development itself, it's important that we define the brand and the character, not only of the development, but of the community at large. So you've already begun a planning contract to work on that. Very important step. If you don't know who you want to be, then it'd be easy for us to deliver a solution to you that wouldn't fit. So we really want to understand from you where you want to go. At the end of the day, the development that we're working on should be the community's development, not our development. It's the same approach we've taken with every other master plan community that we've worked on. The plan, in general terms, shows some commercial activity directly adjacent to the freeway. We've got hospitality and some commercial uses. That's where we believe we can do a collection of restaurants. What gives us confidence about that? Some planning work that I had done at Austin West, so property just on the west side of I-75 from Austin Landing. When we were working on the planning for that project, we had significant interest from national restaurants and multifamily housing and hospitality. They were interested in being in a mixed-use environment. Now, part of that driver was Austin Landing, but part of it is the traffic on I-75. So we've really taken elements of that plan that we had worked on, and that's kind of the genesis of what's happening right at 75. We also have, in the period of time we've been working on the project, we've had some office use interest, both medical and professional office uses. So to the area just to the west of the I-75 pad, we've got a location where we can specifically develop some office. Then if we turn to the waterfront, from the very first conversation I ever had with Brad Townsend and Mike Lucking, there was a discussion about how do we energize the waterfront and your vision for the Whitewater project that you're now pursuing. We really have built off of that. The idea of creating a park that extends not just around the dam, but all the way up around the bend in the river is a wonderful opportunity. You're very well aware that the Wright brothers tested their first seaplanes in this stretch of the river, so it's got a historic context as well. There was a marina at one time on this section of river. So we've gone back and said, all right, let's celebrate that. Even if there was no Whitewater project, we'd still be proposing the excitement, the development of waterfront properties. Having access to the public, to the water is important. We also are showing residential on the water. We don't have a lot of that in this market environment. That's a unique opportunity. We really like the townhome product as being attractive at that location in the river. So restaurants that overlook the waterfront, with celebrating the bike path that's already there, recrafting all of that as part of the riverfront park that's just been talked about, that now starts to turn you into a destination. The other elements of the plan, we are showing some higher density housing, whether that ends up being a market rate rental product or a for sale condominium or another expansion of a for sale townhome product is yet to be determined. What we've tried to do is demonstrate all the kinds of uses that we believe are appropriate for your community. The exact location of those uses and how it plays out will be a function of how market demand comes back to us. So we've done some early market research. That's where a lot of the ideas for potential tenants along I-75 comes from. The hospitality interest, again, comes from other hospitality folks that we've been in dialogue with. All of that gives us a place to start. But that doesn't mean that the plan that we're showing you is exactly the plan that will ultimately get developed. It's going to happen in multiple phases, but we believe that for your community, the kinds of uses that we're talking about here are the right kinds of uses to help change your community long-term, to enhance its economic diversity and maximize its tax revenue generations, maximize the value for the community from a public access standpoint. Those of you that are familiar with our firm know that we are huge believers in creating public space and energizing with programs of activities. That's how we drive success. That's how Austin Landing really has made its mark in the community through the events programming that drove traffic and really helped all of those restaurants and so on, even the apartments and the hotels are benefited from that driving of traffic. You have your own potential traffic generator with the waterfront park. from our standpoint, from a planning standpoint, we can't count on that timing lining up. So we have to come up with a vision that's dynamic and will be successful on its own. So if we removed from the screen the Whitewater Park, do we believe we can be successful with developing this real estate program? Yes, we do. The addition of the Whitewater Park gives you a chance to further dial up the potential for what this development location could be over time. The areas, again, we talked about, I'll run back through it again briefly. So on the screen now, those various areas. The B area, again, is the hospitality and retail restaurant focus. Area A is professional or medical office. Area D is townhomes. Area C is the waterfront-oriented restaurant entertainment district, including the marina. And then Area E would be where we might propose a residential product. You see the areas that are blanked out. It's really an indication that as this project moves forward and it achieves success, success breeds success. That was true with Austin Landing. It's true with every master plan development that we've been involved in. You create a nucleus of critical mass, and other investment will follow. So over time, some of the other land uses that exist within the planning area will likely change over time organically through market forces. So we're not pre-programming those spaces. What we are saying is you have an opportunity to achieve something that's much greater than the $80 million worth of private investment over time.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Appreciate the time. While I do not have the ability to articulate the way Larry does the vision for the project, I can do one thing, and that's be brief. I would say, firstly, that Larry and I commend the city for the steps you have taken to control your own destiny. This is not a process that a lot of cities are used to getting into, but we're seeing it more and more as time goes on. But buying the land that you have, having the patience you have shown, and being willing to go through the process of creating a well-thought-out vision and program, quite frankly, speaks volumes to your leadership. And we believe very strongly will pay significant dividends for your community in the region as a whole. I would say that uniqueness of you guys controlling the land is something that is not a process generally Larry and I get into. Usually the developers control the land. The beauty of this is that you control what happens here. This is your project. We're going to execute it for you. So to the extent there's a particular use or a design that you're particularly keen on, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to execute, is what the city and the community's vision is for this project. The agreement that we're entering into is a very unique agreement, and that's set up as a win-win. We, quite frankly, our potential for this is only if we're successful. That's the only way we really get paid any kind of fruitful money for us. So it's a win-win in that sense that if we don't do our jobs, honestly, it's not that big of a commitment for the city in terms of what it would normally be, relatively speaking. So we're going to take the next 6 to 9 months to do a deep dive study on the master plan, the market demand, the public finance package, and we'll know a lot more at this time at the end of the year, or certainly this time next year. But as Larry said, I would say this is going to be a very market-driven project. And I want to be very clear that developers don't spec build anymore. That ended 10 or 15 years ago. So we are going to be very responsive to the market. Our job isn't to create demand. Our job is to respond to demand. And that's what I think this team will be very good at accomplishing. So with that, I think Larry and I will take any questions if you have any.
Jeff, I'd be remiss if I didn't say how excited I am to have Woodard as a partner. It extends our reach. We're known for what we do on the planning side and helping communities come up with sustainable solutions. Woodard brings an expertise on the execution that really expands our capacity. So we are delighted to be in a marriage together. And Todd and I have worked together several years from Austin Landing. And so we know each other extremely well. We're confident in how we work together.